There are many ways to get from point A to point B. For many, it would be as simple as getting into a car, entering the location into your preferred navigation system, and driving to your desired destination. You may use your own car, or if you're sharing the car with someone else, you may have to ask to be sure they are not using it. While this is true for someone living in a country like the United States, where car ownership is above 85%, it is simply not the case for most people living in Singapore. The truth is, for the majority of people living in Singapore, car ownership is just not possible. The low rate of car ownership in Singapore isn't because Singaporeans are poor, nor is it because the country doesn't have the infrastructure to support car ownership. In fact, people in Singapore enjoy one of the highest average incomes in the world, ahead of countries like France, Germany, and Japan. They also have a robust road network, and the quality of their infrastructure is among the highest in the world. Despite having all of these, car ownership in Singapore is still less than 12%, one of the lowest among developed countries. So why is that? Why is car ownership in Singapore so low? To understand why most Singaporeans don't drive, we have to understand Singapore's geography. Singapore is a small country, so small that you can drive across the whole island in under 45 minutes. With an estimated population of over 5.8 million people, Singapore is the second most densely populated country in the world. If every single person in the United States lived as close to one another as people in Singapore do, the whole United States would be confined to just the state of Maryland and Delaware. With so little land in the small city-state of Singapore, the supply of roads and parking lots are very limited. If the number of cars on the road are allowed to be determined by market forces, the rate of vehicle ownership will spiral out of control. Having a high rate of car ownership in a country this small would most certainly result in an out-of-control countrywide traffic congestion and gridlocks. In order to provide sustainable urban quality life, the Singapore government came up with various management strategies to discourage car ownership. This resulted in cars being extremely expensive, making Singapore the most expensive place to buy, own, and run a car. A typical $20,000 Toyota Corolla would cost over $100,000 in Singapore. Car prices in Singapore start with its open market value, or OMV. Simply put, this is the cost incurred for the dealer to import a car into Singapore. Open market value prices are similar to what some people in other countries pay for the same car. The reason why cars are so expensive in Singapore is the additional fees required to buy a car. The first is ARF, short for Additional Registration Fee. In Singapore, all new cars are subjected to ARF, which is a form of tax imposed on cars during registration. Calculations of ARF is based on the car's open market value. It starts from 100% to as high as 180%. This means car prices will, at the very least, double after ARF. Apart from ARF, cars in Singapore are further subjected to a 20% excise duty and a 7% goods and service tax. Next comes the Certificate of Entitlement, or COE. Owning a car in Singapore does not give you the legal right to use it. In order to use the car, a car buyer has to obtain a Certificate of Entitlement through an open bid uniform price auction. A COE grants the holder the right to use a vehicle in Singapore for a period of 10 years. The number of COEs available to the public is regulated, and it is mainly determined by the allowable growth in vehicle population and the number of vehicles deregistered and taken off the road. As of October 2020, high demands and limited supplies have pushed COE prices to around $40,000. Lastly, there's the dealer's margin, which can range anywhere from 15 to 50%. This is the margin that car dealers add to cover costs and make a profit. So this is how a $20,000 car can balloon to over $100,000 in Singapore, making car ownership extremely expensive and unaffordable. The majority of people in Singapore utilize the country's public transport system to get around the city. They mainly use the mass rapid transit, buses, cabs, and ride-sharing services. Singapore has one of the most highly ranked public transport systems in the world, on par with cities such as Hong Kong, Seoul, Beijing, and Paris. It therefore comes as no surprise that commuter satisfaction is also very high in Singapore. It is estimated that there are slightly over 1 billion cars worldwide. With a world population of over 7.5 billion people, car ownership is definitely a privilege most people do not enjoy. So the next time you're stuck in traffic, remember that you are amongst the fortunate few who can afford the convenience of a car and have the ability to drive around. If you find today's episode interesting and informative, consider liking this video and subscribing to Curiosity Ignite, where you can find videos that help you better understand the world around you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.